What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Brooklyn Versus, where we debate the most controversial topics in sports, both past and present. Today, we're going after March Madness.
Go Bridgeside!
This is Brooklyn versus March Madness. Let me introduce you to the panel. We got to my left, DB, Donnie Borst. It's another amazing introduction. Unbelievable. It gets better every time. I got to his left, Mike Boo. Mike Bukowski.
What's up?
I was weak. I'm sorry. Compared to Donnie, we're all weak. But
yeah.
And to all the way at the end, we have Chris, the analyst. That's it.
What's good with you?
It's your boy.
What's good with you?
I'm your host, Philly Cags, and we're going right into March Madness.
Yep.
It's a great moment in sports. It's a great event for sports.
The best.
But is it the best event in sports? So I was going to kick it to Chris first.
No.
But Donnie kind of jumped in right there. So I'm going to say, Donnie, is March Madness the best event for sports?
Yes, of course it is.
It brings
so many different markets right into the mainstream. I mean, it's a great couple of weeks, dude. There's the build-up. I mean, colleges get into it, which is huge. That's a lot of people, both alumni from the past, current students, and then just like local people that like love their college teams. I mean, the sporting is amazing. You know, the games go quick.
They get excited.
Yeah, you got the cream of the crop, and then just the shitty teams that they bring in there. Yeah, let's sprinkle them in.
UMBC.
I believe that.
I mean, listen, it is the best, I'll say this, it is the best day, 2 days, the beginning of the tournament.
Okay, I was going to say the best day. It's a month.
Exactly. When it starts, those first 2 days, amazing. Literally the best time to be watching any sport.
The Final Four.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing, and that's why it can never be the best. Is
I don't
because
think the Sweet 16 is the best.
No, I
Sweet
want
16
the
is still a lot of games.
There is nothing as good as when it's rapid fire. It's going from game to game. You don't even know what game you're watching anymore.
You don't know the teams.
It doesn't matter because it's just nonstop stimulation, right? That's what we care about. And after that, I feel like if we had a graph, if we had a line graph, it starts to just fade. So therefore, it cannot be the best tournament in sports.
Well, first of all, you start with the Sunday selection show. You have the play-ins. That build-in from Sunday.
What are you telling me about the Sunday selection show?
Because that's a huge thing also that everybody's looking into. You want to make sure that your team's in it.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
That whole build-up from Sunday to that Friday is a huge deal. That's a week's worth of shit.
It's building.
Sorry. But then, and by the way, Chris was right. And then you get to the cream of the crop towards the end. I think the whole package just makes it the best, personally.
So is it the Stanley Cup Finals that's the best?
No, listen, I'm an NHL guy, but it's not the best. But NHL has its definite pros. I think there's nothing it's really up there when you're watching an overtime NHL playoff game, and it goes to three
what's better
overtime.
than March Madness?
Amazing.
But the question's
What's
vague.
better than
You said
March
sporting
Madness?
event, like as in...
No, it could be tournament, it could be big game. It
Playoffs.
Could be playoffs, yeah.
That's what it would be compared to. March
Yeah, exactly.
Madness. Okay.
It could be a game. Well, what's better than March Madness then?
I would
Everything?
say at the end of the day, listen, the NFL, every game matters so much, right? And you end with the Super Bowl, which is just this monumental event. And, I mean, I think that's got to be at the top. I'm a big fan of the baseball playoffs, too. So I think they're definitely above college basketball. And I might even put NHL, but I'm an NHL. I'm into the NHL a lot more than
NHL
most
playoffs
people.
are great, though. You're right.
So I don't think it's anywhere
You got
near the
Chris
top.
to say NHL playoffs are great, so we know
They
that's
are
something.
great.
It's a good sport.
We
No,
know that's
like,
something.
that's
So
one of the
Chris,
best playoffs.
I feel like you've been chomping at the bit. What's better than March Madness?
All that and
So what's the best?
the World Cup.
I knew you were going to say that, man.
The World
Oh,
Cup's
the
without
World
a doubt,
Cup. That's
without
it.
a
World
doubt, the
Cup, the World
best
Cup.
system, the best event, the best tournament, the
Why
best
is it
anything.
the best system?
The
Why do you
best
say that?
system.
It just works out well. You got the group stage, which is
just works out
awesome.
well.
I mean, think about it. If you did because nobody really does this, but like, what if you did like a survival pool on the World Cup? That would be so much fun. That's basically what you're doing with bracketology. You know what I'm saying? You're betting on these games. It's all about the betting of these games and the picks and the spreads and all that, right? That's what it's really all about. You don't really care about these teams. You care about like who's gonna have the best bracket, who's gonna have the points
Well, millions
system
of
at the
people do
end.
care about the team, but we'll get beyond that.
They don't care about all the teams. They might care about a couple of teams.
Yeah,
here and there.
exactly, but collectively,
But
yeah.
I'm saying they care more about that bracket and filling out brackets, and the offices do it. And it's a big thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like doing a fantasy draft.
But you also said a huge thing too, which I agree with, is the setup is very very good. But it's because you have to play, and if you come in second in this group, you play.
Right.
It's very calculated.
point system.
Whereas college basketball, it's people just selecting randomly. These people are upset. They're too
Yeah.
high of a seed.
Well,
They're
which
too
this
low
year
of a
was
seed.
very odd.
There's a randomness in World Cup. What about the
only
group?
randomness-
What about the group that you're in?
Well, I'll explain to you what
That
that
is
is.
huge,
well,
though.
FIFA and the world, the FIFA world, which
Yeah.
is mostly a group of people from all over the world that
Yeah.
run that, they use a system called like a FIFA coefficient, which basically they take all rankings,
The hell's
games
going on
played.
right now?
They take rankings and games played and all that stuff from these international teams throughout the last like 3 or 4 years, and what happens is, like, it's weaker as the years pass. So let's say 2 years ago,
I understand.
that coefficient's weaker than this year's
So do
coefficient.
they get seeds?
So they get seeded.
Seeds.
They get put into pots. It's called pot A, pot B, pot C, and like the top 8 teams are in pot A. And then
But
they
someone
and then
someone
they do a
decided
draw.
what is weighted more.
A lottery.
Someone has decided what is weighted more, which is kind of what's happening in college
But they
basketball.
use,
and
they use a
put the
math-
same thing.
They
When
use
they
a
put the
mathematical
seeding,
system.
Then when they put
There
the-
isn't-
but someone
there's the
created
NCAA
that
too.
mathematical
I
system.
know, but they do a lot of it based on like
But they
strength
still-
of schedule
it's
that
still
year.
right. It's
RPI,
just-
right? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's not
That's basketball. That's
very
college
mathematical.
basketball.
You know what I'm
That's
saying? That's a
basketball.
guess.
It sort of is.
That's
but yeah.
that's college basketball RPI, and it can determine. What bracket you're in, the East, the West,
okay,
the North.
RPI is sort of mathematical, but at the same time, it's like, how do you know that this team, just because he's in this conference, because he's 28, their team's 28-11, and the other team is 20 and whatever, let's say, right? But they're in a harder conference, so they're weighted evenly. But how do you know for sure that those teams, if they never play each other, how do you know that they're?
How do you know that with FIFA too? What makes FIFA's coefficient like the
But
word
FIFA's
of?
coefficient doesn't take into account just that season. It takes into account 4 or 5 years.
That's
prior.
because the
Because they're
event
the
is
same
every 4
players.
years.
No, but
But it's also the
no,
same
but-
players. They have to. College basketball
But
changes.
it's weighted differently, and it's not just about strength of schedule. It's about how many games you won, your points. Like, because if you're a tie, you get a point. A win is 3 points. It's weighted like
You're
that.
also talking about players in full leagues going into one team to play nationally against teams themselves going into the tournament. So that is going to be slightly different. Like, we will look at a conference and how strong they are against another conference
Right.
to get teams into the tournament.
Right.
But we're not going to take these teams, the best players from these teams, and put them into a best team. Because that means that you'd have 6 conferences teams playing each other in the tournament. Like,
Right, they have
it's a
to
much
divvy it up.
different, much
They
different
have
system.
to divvy
yeah.
it up. I understand that.
It's not fair, Chris, in college basketball. Look at Kentucky. They have 5 players, they're starters. They all go into the draft.
Right.
So when you're waiting this year for the bracket, to take into account last year just
It wouldn't be
isn't
accurate.
fair at all.
They're completely different teams.
So how could you?
But
With soccer,
FIFA does the
it's
same
like-
thing.
But with soccer, well, Donnie said it's 4 years. The team is generally the same.
No, in soccer?
It changes that drastically.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, the
From
national-
year to year, it changes
4
that much.
years.
This soccer
Every 4
coefficient
years it changes.
sounds a lot like the QB rating. Like nobody truly understands it,
No.
but you just kind of
You have to
trust
look it up.
Yeah.
You have to look it up. But it's something. It works. It makes sense because the best teams are clear, and then they end up being the teams that end up winning. You know what I'm saying?
But what about the group? What about when they're in the group of death? That doesn't have any randomness to it
the
whatsoever.
randomness is at that point
That's what I'm saying.
when you get
But
to
that's
actual
like
World
the
Cup,
bracket.
right?
But that's like the bracket. Random.
No,
Yeah,
but
listen.
it's a lottery based on like they'll take from a team from pot A, which is a strong team, a top 8 team, and they take a team from pot B, which is the next 8, and then they put them into groups. So it ends up being kind of fair, but there is unfairness too. Like a team coming from the Conference USA, division, you don't really want that because you could probably take a better team from the ACC, whatever. But the thing is, you got New Zealand going to the World Cup. They have no business going to the World Cup. They're coming from the Oceania freaking conference. They have no business, but they have to go because you have to take a team from there. That's
What
how
were
it
you
works.
gonna say, Mike?
Well, listen, we see
Similar.
that, but we see that in other sports too, where teams don't belong. I think you guys know I bash the NBA all the time. I cannot give any credit to a sport where teams that are under 500 can make the playoffs. I think that's a complete
basketball's the
joke.
worst.
And hockey, I fault for it too because they have more than half the teams make the playoffs. I think that's
That's
ridiculous.
terrible.
It can't be the best tournament or event if you have teams in there that really don't belong. And I think both sports really have. Hockey and basketball have teams every year that don't belong there.
Right, but the difference is NBA, the best teams usually are going to dominate and
Which
win
makes
those
the
games.
event even worse.
Right.
The NBA playoffs.
Hockey's good because anybody can win those games.
NBA's different.
We
NBA's
could-
the opposite of March
especially
Madness. You said March
after the
Madness
first
goes like
round.
this. NBA starts like this and
We-
it actually
we could-
kind of gets
Well,
interesting.
NBA goes like this until the finals, and it
That's
goes
what I'm
like
saying.
this.
That's what I'm saying.
We could debate the best sporting event, but I'd have to say that the worst is the NBA playoffs as a
Right.
package.
I would agree.
As a
with that.
package, yeah.
I would
Because
agree
the
with
finals
that.
could also be garbage if we know,
Yeah.
like last year, that it should have been a 4-game win for the Warriors, and it was 5.
This is
whatever,
one
but-
year where
Right.
the Western Conference Final might
It's
be
gonna
more
be
exciting.
exciting.
than
We could hope.
then.
Because
you got the Rockets.
The NBA
Hey, we all
Finals.
want it
Yeah.
to be. We can
And
hope.
Cleveland's-
I'm gonna make one last point just about what March Madness with World Cup. You're right about the format of World Cup, but I like the March Madness because of what Mike said at the beginning. It's winner take all at the beginning. Every game has that element of
Yes, that
excitement.
element of
six
excitement.
straight.
You can lose in World Cup and still keep going.
That's a blessing
You gotta
and a
win
curse,
six
though.
straight. I
I was
know,
gonna
I'm
say,
just
Gotta win
saying.
six
you're gonna
straight.
say
That's a
that.
blessing and a
I
curse.
know, I'm just saying.
Because
so you
it's
got World
unfair.
Cup. You got World Cup as the most
In World
exciting.
Cup, at the beginning, that group stage, each team plays each other once. And it's not a lot,
know, I
but you're
know.
playing 3 games to decide who the top 2, so 2
got
teams
you.
advance. So there's an absolute
I know,
chance
I know.
for
I'm
the
just
strongest
saying,
teams to get
I
out
think the
of it.
winner take all makes for more
I
exciting.
think-
You got World Cup as the most exciting.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt.
Mike?
I'm gonna go NFL.
NFL playoffs, not the NFL. You talking about the NFL season?
No, the NFL playoffs.
Oh,
We're
the NFL
talking
playoffs.
about
Okay,
we're
I'm
talking
sorry.
about
I
events
like
here.
it.
Because it's one.
I'm sticking March Madness, definitely.
You're gonna make a point too.
Well, no, I was just gonna say it just sets up for better moments when you have a year like Kemba Walker. They had to win the Big East to get into
Yeah.
the tournament, and then he goes out and leads a team to 6 straight wins, and then they win the championship. I mean, that sets up for a greater story overall.
That's fantastic.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
I'm also gonna go March Madness too because I love the beginning. I don't think it trails off. I think the
it
Sweet
does.
16 is the best part of it
Yeah, you
because
get to the cream.
the
Yeah.
trash. Exactly, the trash games have gone. You still have a lot of games going on in those 2 days that weekend. I think the Sweet 16 is fantastic. Interestingly enough. Well, you said the NFL players. I was going to say no one said the Super Bowl, but you said the NFL players.
Of course, that's
Yeah.
the biggest
I
event in
know.
American
I know. And
sports.
I'm surprised that.
I wanted to say this. Maybe I changed my mind a little bit because maybe March Madness is better than NBA because NBA is just bad.
yeah, absolutely.
It's not better than NHL, and maybe NHL's out of the 4 major sports, pro sports. I think NHL might be the best because baseball's very flawed. Because
Best of
one
5.
game playoff and best of 5 is garbage. You play 162 games. You should not have to play one game to decide.
I don't
when
think
one
about the
team
wild card
has
game,
6
though.
more wins than you throughout a 162 game season, that's bull crap. Anyway, the other thing is, football would be, but the Super Bowl's too much of like a holiday,
It's an event.
of a spectacle.
I understand.
Actually, the NFC, championships playoff and the AFC one
It's
are
better.
better.
It's a better
games.
event, yeah.
Division,
Better
we're
event.
talking
Yes.
division.
So they all have flaws. So March Madness might be, but you know what? If college football went from the 4 to the 8, that would be the best. That would be the best.
And no one
Good
mentioned
point.
that.
That
That's
would
a
be the
good
best.
point. And I think
Without a
we're
doubt.
gonna, I think we're going to leave on that great point.
Yep.
You heard from the Brooklyn boys what we all think is the best event in sporting. We want to know what you guys think. You got it all on the
the
table.
best.
Maybe it's a college football, like Chris just said. Maybe it's a Super Bowl. Maybe it's one we didn't even mention. But let us know what's going on, what you guys think about what the best sporting event is. And we'll catch you next time on another edition of Brooklyn Verse, where we debate another controversial topic.
No doubt.